Hello YouTube family, James Green, Short Series Shenanigans. So, this episode we're going to be getting to making leather cups. So, it took a couple of weeks for me to get back around to this part of the project. What we're going to be doing is, this is part of the X actuating tube cylinder for the Boyer-Schultz Challenger 2A 6x18. So it's hydraulic, 2-axis, X and Y, and this is the X plunger. So when I took this apart, this was all on the end of the rod here. Actually, it was all on this end. We noticed that it had leather cups. Now, the reason we had to take all this apart was I ran it a lot, and this was something I hadn't done yet as far as doing the restoration process. Also, I have ordered and I finally got it. On the bottom there's two V plates, okay, that are a type of tool steel, and then also another wide one. So it took a couple of weeks for me to source. I found one size local, and then the other two 3/4 inch pieces that I needed, I had to order those. My local guys, they couldn't get it for me fast enough. I found it and got it, and it's here. So the original ones were wore out. I mean, they were gone. Matter of fact, I'll grab them and show you just how bad they are. And I knew they were bad, and I knew they needed to be replaced. I just hadn't done it yet. So I will grab all of the material. Now, these were epoxied on to the bottom of the... Get over here without knocking the camera around. These were actually epoxied onto the bottom of the cast iron bed, so that I don't mess anything up here. So I chose to go with A2 tool steel. These are a type of tool steel. I'm going to have to do some machining to them. So these were actually, so you can see how much they're worn. Okay, see that oiling groove? And then it starts to disappear. Same thing on this one. This one was much worse. You can see the groove gone at the end, and that just helps kind of hold the oil, and as you go along you see it just disappears. Okay, and I will hold this up to the camera. You can see how much is that lip on that's on this side right here. It's just bad. I mean, you can see it. So these were epoxied on. I'm going to epoxy the new ones on. Same thing with this one. This actually has an edge on each side. You can see it here and here. So I'm going to clamp these down, and I am going to machine some oil grooves in them. And here was the one on the bottom, and you can see in the middle here that there is no oil groove. It's plumb gone. Now there's a hole here. These actually fit on the bed, and then they ride on the surface. Now the surface that's on the machine is actually scraped in. Now I'm not going to do any scraping or anything yet, although I know my buddy Adam Booth, giving a shout out to A-Bomb79 there, and John and them, they did a scraping class a month or so ago in Georgia at Keith Rucker's. I'd love to be able to have one of those scraping classes here in the Southwest. I'm going to see what it'll take to possibly get one going on, perhaps here in Albuquerque, because I know there's a lot of us guys on the West Coast that would love to do it. I've actually got scraping tools. So those actually look good. These are bad. And then here's the replacement. Got some A2, 1/8 inch thick. Everything is 1/8 inch thick. I wanted to go same material. I was having trouble getting the 3/4 wide stuff. I actually found it from Online Metals, and it's already wrapped up here. It's precision ground. Of course, you had to buy 3 pieces, which is fine. They're going to be cut down to 24 inches, but they're wrapped, ready to go. I'm going to have to do some machining and lay it out, and that's going to be an interesting video when I get ready to do that. So that's why we've been, I know on some of these projects I've got them strung out, but I'm going to be, as soon as I get this together and it's going to set for a couple of days, I'm actually going to literally move stuff off the mill, and we're going to get back on the power drawbar project. I want to get that done. I've kind of got everything moved over to the side. Sorry. Clean up while I go, and there's still dust in the air. So lots going on. Now we got it apart, okay, because I ran into an oil leak, and I've posted pictures on social media. So there's actually a seal that goes in the end here. Well, I didn't realize it because I did actually change that seal out, but I left the thing together. What actually went bad was there was an O-ring up inside there, and you can't see it on camera, but you can kind of see the groove, okay? The O-ring, because it was running, and I've posted pictures on Instagram and Facebook at Eagle Dust Off 37, and then Facebook Eagle Dust Off 37. I've got that that's where I try to post most of the stuff. So we had oil bypassing both of it was mainly the O-ring in there was bad. Now this is what I've been able to tell, this surface grinder was built in 1962. So I knew when I got this it needed work, not a problem. It was just in the process of getting everything together, and after I went through it, it worked fine, and I probably put about 100 hours on it, and then that's when this started leaking really, really, really bad. I was using it hot and heavy. So, and that's fine. As far as I can tell, these are all new. So, taking this apart to change the O-ring, when we pulled the piston out, it's got leathers. Now, I made this little kind of thing here, and you can see the leathers are not in the best shape. Okay, you can see where they're chewed up. So I know whenever I would have this to cycle it through the X, at certain times it would go like this, and then it would go back, you know, in cycling. So we got it apart. Our leathers are bad. Now, I looked online. I couldn't find the size of leather cups that go on here. Now, being raised here in the Southwest in New Mexico, I've pulled many a windmill and worked on them. You guys know, if you've ever done, it can be fun. So you can actually make your own leathers. Now, these weren't a common size that I found readily available. Now, I have experience with working with leather. I have done stuff since I was a kid. So I'm going to walk you through how I'm going to create leather cups here. Right, wrong, or indifference, this is just how I do it. Now, there are some places online that it was actually cheaper for me to order leather online than go to the local. I don't want to use their name because I went down there. They were very rude, very impersonal, and they were asking way too much money. But it's a name brand leather outlet store that's been around forever. They wanted way too much, and you can't buy, or at least they wouldn't at the time when I was there. They didn't have small pieces. You have to buy an entire hide. I'm not going to buy $500 worth of leather. So I could find some online, US made, down in Texas, and then there's one in Missouri, because there was some couple different thicknesses I wanted. One had it, the other didn't have the other, vice versa. So I got the natural, and they've been soaking in water. So, side note, if you guys like Chinese food, which we have this local Chinese restaurant here, and you get their wonton soup, these containers are phenomenal. I save them whenever I get done because they seal the water in. The soup, yeah. So, if you like and you want to get some wonton soup and they have this type of container, save it. So, you don't want leather that has been dyed or treated or whatever. This was just oil soaked. So you want to soak it overnight in just water. They've been soaking for a couple days. So I got some 1 to 3 ounce and some 2 to 3 ounce leather. Now the other leather, if it's a little thick, that's fine. I've got a skiving knife. I'll show you guys. I mean, there's lots of videos out there on how to skiving is essentially as you're taking, and I'll show you my skiving knife. Okay, and it's sharp. It's an old C.S. Osborne and Company. It's a skiving knife, Skinner knife. Okay, you just skin down, and we're probably going to need it for this. Plus it's sharp and I use it for cutting leather. So I've had that for a long time. They're handy. So we're going to make some leather cups. in the process, I want to talk about O-ring choice. Now, I started to use the original, just regular Boone O-rings, and I was down at O'Reilly's Auto. You guys know I'm a big fan of O'Reilly Auto Parts. Believe it or not, and I'm always saying this, you can get a professional account because it's cash and carry right there. If you're a veteran, sometimes things are cheaper under the veteran discount, or they're cheaper under your professional account. It's free, doesn't cost you anything. You're not charging anything. You're paying for it right there. So when I was down there looking at stuff, they had the green O-rings, or called HNBR. Now, just so you guys are curious why I chose. Now, typically those are going to be used on an AC system. Okay. Again, this was built in 1962. They didn't have this back then, so I thought, okay, because I've got a lot of O-rings, not only there, but in where it fits up in the valve body, I thought, hey, we got O-rings that are specifically designed to be around oil and pressure and temperature changes. What you have in an AC, you got the same thing in a surface grinder. You have, you know, oils, hydraulic oils, and yes, they'll work with the hydraulic oil. No, they're not going to eat up because there is oil in an AC system. They're under pressure, and there's also temperature changes, hot and cold cycles. So other O-rings have a tendency to, like what these did, but as far as I can tell, they're original from 1962. Let me just read you a little bit. Now, this is from a manufacturer that manufactures O-ring. HNBR, or hydrogenated nitrile rubber O-rings. Highly saturated nitrile green O-rings in 70 durometer. Now that's a durometer is the hardness of the rubber, okay? Hydrogenation of nitrile rubber removes most of the residual unsaturation in the polymer to make it far less vulnerable to attack by heat, ozone, and oxygen. In fact, due to superior oil and temperature resistance, highly saturated nitrile can sometimes be substituted for more costly fluorocarbon rubber. You guys want to look up this other stuff, you can, okay? It is frequently used in automotive air conditioning systems employing R134A refrigerants. It exhibits good resistance to petroleum-based oils, compression, set, and a variety of freons. There's a whole bunch more stuff, but based on that, and then I wanted to put that out there to kind of give you guys some information. You can go online, look up more about it, but that's why I chose to go with the green ones, because it's modern technology, number one. Number two, resistance to oil. Number three, hot and cold cycles. There you go. So these are all imperial sizes in here, and they go from 7/32 all the way up to 11/16. Now, if I run into a situation, which I looked through the set, they got the same set in regular black rubber. I wanted to try these. So, I know we're covering a lot here, and you guys know my videos, I'm passing information along. So, what I'm going to do is show you my method of, and I built a little clamping tool per se. So typically when you do, I'm going to point you down here so you can see what we got going on. Alright, so we're going to set this aside, out of the way. So, what we've got, I've got my granite block. No, this isn't used for metrology. This is literally for, I can put sandpaper on here, or I need a good working surface. So, we want us a block of wood. Okay, any old block of wood will do, because when we've got a hole punch here. I've got a series of the CS Osborne and Company leather punches. These are good. So I've had these for a long time. So we're going to be punching a hole in some leather. So what I did was, and what you want to do, you want to, and I may be fitting this really tight, and I may have to take one of these and bore it out a little bit. So typically what you want to do, you want to have, because I'm going to make two of these at once, and I'm actually using the parts that hold this together to help create the cup. Here's the cup. It's got a 1/2 inch hole, and it's already got the impression. You can see where the leather's pretty worn out there on the edge. Okay, so I'm actually, because it's already pre-shaped, okay, to what it needs. It's got the bevel and everything there. So what I'm going to do is cut out a piece. We're going to put it in here and we're going to force it in, and one on each side. And I made these here, and I'm using some 7/16 by 28, or I'm sorry, correction, quarter 28. Why? Because I've got a boatload of quarter 28 all thread and nuts. So that's why I chose that. But we're going to be drawing all this together. Now, typically, I may have to take and bore one of these out a little bit, and it's going to be varied on the thickness of our leather over here. Okay, so I'm going to pull it out. So next time you go to your Chinese restaurant and you get some wonton soup to go, these containers, they're free because you buy the soup, and as you saw, they don't leak. So I'm going to take the leather, and I've let it soak overnight. Actually, it's been in there for several days, and I'm just going to squeeze it. Okay, and so this is the thickness of leather we have here, and even it might be a little thick, but that's fine. Okay, what we're going to do, and I'm just going to lay it out here and show you guys real quick. We're just going to do it smooth side up. So you don't want dyes or anything on it. It's just been covered with vegetable oil, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, you don't want to cut holes through straight onto your granite. That's a no-no. It messes up your tool, and it'll mess up your granite plate. So, because the thickness of these are pretty wore out and compressed, I got the 1/3 leather here, and we're just going to measure this with the mic, or correction, caliper. Let's just see what we are as a thickness, and this is just, so we're 67.5 thou. Okay, 67.5 thou. Trying to measure the thickness on this is going to be fun because it's considerably thinner and smashed flat. So the other leather that I have in here is considerably thicker, but I've got a bigger hide of it, and I didn't have to buy. I cut a small piece off here. Let me wring it out. And that's the other thing, leather. Okay, so I spent many a night tooling leather growing up as a kid. Okay, so this is obviously thicker. So we're definitely thicker. We are 114 thou. So this is, oh boy, this is where a skiving knife comes in. So I'm going to show you guys real quick. Let's say if we need to make some thinner leather. Let me set this over here, and I am going to skive some of this down. Let me show you beforehand, before we get started with this other. Okay, let me set this right here. And there's videos out there on this, but I figured this is a pretty neat, interesting subject. So we're going to go smooth side down. And you can just take a hammer, make sure you don't get oil on it, and you just want to make sure it's flat, because I wadded it up from squeezing the water out. We're going to kind of work out the knots here. And you want to use and there's, if you have to do big sheets of it, they actually have tools, machines. It's kind of like a rolling press that you can use to thin out your leather. Okay, so I know I'm going to have to thin some of this down, and because it's wet, and you can work it down, and you just start from the edge back, and you get it down. You're going to be doing like this, okay? This is hand craftsmanship right here, and you can look from the side. Okay, so this is how I was taught to skive as a kid. Okay, when you just got a few tools and you make them handy, so you're looking from the side. Okay, and you want to get your leather thinner. Okay, and you want it wet. And you just come in here. You got to be careful, otherwise you cut a hole through your leather. And you just work it back. So essentially you work your way back, similar to when you're like scraping in metals. and you can get it down pretty thin. And again, a lot of it takes, so you can take some leather that is thicker and you need it thinner, and you can skive it down. I'm going to skive off a piece here just to kind of show you guys. Now I am going to skive this whole piece down. Okay, you guys get the idea. It's a lot of hand working and going through and just sliding it in. Okay, so that's essentially how you skive leather down or thin it. Okay, because we're going to do the rest of that later. Get this off out of the way. Alright, so we're good. We're down. We're going to cut a piece here, and we're just going to cut it larger than, because it's all going to draw down and pull out. So we just cut a square. Actually, we're going to need two. I'll just go straight on down this whole piece here. And that's another reason, if your knife is nice and sharp, you can just roll it through. And we're through. Alright. And then we're gonna leave it big. Okay, we're going to do one more. This is way bigger than what it needs, which is fine. And it just cuts right through. And so and that one might be a little small. It is. That's fine. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to get our board up here, and we're going to put a 1/2 inch hole right in the middle. This is where your board comes in, because you don't want to cut on your other piece there. So you're going to go right in the middle, and we're all the way through. There's one. 2, 3. Alright. Don't ever go through on a hard surface. That'll run your hole punches. So you've got them in, and then all we're going to do here with these other pieces, we're going to line them up, and we're going to, because we've already got the same tool here, we're literally going to push it in. Oh. Yep. Okay. Trying to make sure I'm thinking about this correctly. Okay. So what I want to do, because this is going to be interesting, I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to have this on the back on this side. Let's go ahead and get our little, because I'm going to try to do two of them at the same time, and we'll see if it works or not. But you got to let this stuff dry overnight or for a day or two. And you're going to actually draw these together. Quit dropping stuff. And what you do is you let it dry, and once it's dry, then, and only then, make sure you're through the hole there. That's when you cut it off, after everything's dry. Okay. There's a couple of different ways. I think there's one or two other videos out there on YouTube on how to go about this particular method. So now I may have to, I'm going to try to get it as tight as possible. I may have to bore one of these out just a little bit, and you'll need to have the differential in thickness between the outside of your piston and then the thickness of the leather, and then here. So I'm going to try it like this first to see how tight I can get these. If this doesn't work right, I'll bore one of these out a little bit. That's why I made two of them. Okay. Now that one there's your other leather. Okay, and here is the other leather. Actually, let's grab this one. and I'm going smooth side in, and so that, and here and here, and then when we get them together we're going to tighten it up, and it's going to draw everything together. Alright, so there's that, and all we're going to do now is we're going to put it over here in the vise. There we go. Alright, and we're just going to start, just simple. All we're doing is locking down on the nut here. Actually, I'll go like that. We're just keeping it simple, stupid. That's what I call it. We're going to kiss it, and we just come in here and we're going to tighten these together. Now if this doesn't work like I want it to, I've got other, there, it's drawing it in. We're compressing the cups, and I've got the, there we go. Let me get down on that we're started. Okay, and it's going to draw everything up, and you just leave the leather sticking out, and I can feel it's pulling those together. Alright, so it's compressed. Very simply made. It's drawn in, it's pulled. We're going to let it dry overnight. Okay, now if this doesn't work, because I want to see if I can do it this way. If not, I'll take this one and I'll bore it out, and the difference in the leather. And you can see it pulled a little, but it's a piece of all thread. That's fine. So there you go. We're trying to remake these cups because I couldn't find them in the exact sizes I needed. There were some bigger, smaller, not a big deal. It's not hard to make leather cups, really it's not. So this is all about a lot of little things on the surface grinder overhaul. Part 2, I guess, if you will, for making leather cups, and talking about why we're using the O-rings, why we chose these, and you know, O'Reilly Auto Parts. There's a lot of good stuff there. Even though it's an auto parts store, you can get a lot of stuff to repair your equipment. I mean, you guys see me, I'm always using their carb cleaner and other stuff. Their hand towels, I love their hand towels. So there you go, lots of stuff going on. Yes, I'm going to show doing the machining of the grooves into the tool steel. I believe there was supposed to be some groove of some type in here, but you can see where it was glued on. So those will get glued back on. This won't, but and it's still good tool steel for a knife project and different things. So yeah, here we go. A2 tool steel, 1/8 inch. This is 1.5, and the others were 3/4. So there you go. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I always try to have new and exciting stuff on my channel. If you guys have any questions, eagledustoff37@gmail.com. I'm on Instagram and Twitter as well as Facebook. Spread the word about my channel, you guys. Link in the description box below on anything. I will put the part number for this exact set from O'Reilly's. It's their performance tool stuff. You guys, if it's junk, I don't talk about it on my channel. And I'm really happy with how they've been treating me on getting stuff. I mean, I've been totally 100% satisfied. So there you go. Thanks again for watching. Spread the word about my channel. Click the like button. And you guys, take care of yourself and take care of your family, because remember, at the end of the day, you and your family is all you got. Until next time, get out in the shop. Maybe learn how to skive some leather, stuff like that. Even leather working is fun. This stuff is fun. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.